They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So then you said that they put millions of my access. Yes, you said. Should a murderer go to jail for murdering? Absolutely. Should a thief go to jail when he steals? Absolutely. Should a robber pay back the money he robbed? Absolutely. So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did? That's right. That's right. One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog.
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacles set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never our home. Only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating, disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. Main fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky. Nuclear missiles will make it official. I'm capturing every crack and surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cages, safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash. Get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom, we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in his body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is dish served cold, I just hope they making oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in the world of mad shooters. There was designed fire for our babies to pass through in the day of our king's reign. I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog.
Shalom, Yashala. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah to all the brothers. Yahweh Shemar Thamba Shem Yahushua to all the sisters. This is the Isupk. Started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York in 1969. We are under Commanding General Yohana, here to teach the truth of the Bible, that the real Israelites in the Bible are blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. It's what we've been saying since 1969. It's what we're saying today. None of that has changed. You know what has changed, though? The world is starting to change. The world is starting to become shaken by the truth. Starting to see it in the airwaves. You're seeing it on the radio shows, the blog shows, the sports casts. You understand? You're seeing it in the news, all over the internet. Those airwaves have been opened wide up. And we prayed for these things years ago. And still to this day, we pray that the Most High expose the truth on this earth. And we are the ones that are the spearhead leading the charge of truth in this earth. The ISUPK has been teaching our people, and little by little, some of them, even what you're seeing in the media, especially what you're seeing right now with Kanye West, you understand what you're seeing right now with Kyrie Irving and Floyd Mayweather and those that stand with the things that Kyrie has said. We're going to talk about that today. We got to talk about it because it's fundamental. Those fundamentals of Christ being black are the reason why this controversy is alive and well here on the earth to this day in 2022. Those brothers that went out in the street in Harlem, New York on 125th Street and said in Revelation chapter 1 and verse 14 that Christ was dark skinned, that he had the texture hair, woolly hair. You understand? Bringing out the scriptures, bringing out God's word to show the real Israelites who they really are. That's the world we live in right now, a world that is clouded in lies and clouded in mystery. And the moment you step out of line according to the status quo, they're trying to nail you back down. They're trying to keep you suppressed. They're trying to blackmail you and put you in the dirt every other which way possible to keep you from wanting to continue to stand strong against the wicked kingdom. But you know how we know that the truth will always reign supreme? Because Christ did that for us. Christ did that for us and paid a heck of a price so that we could stand here today and stand strong for our culture in a time where the truth is going to bring hatred at your doorstep. It's going to bring criticism and all kinds of public humiliation for even saying something so bold, when in fact it should be the norm. Us being the Israelites should be the norm, and it will be the norm because since 1969, the UPK has been teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, and now your everyday Negro on the street or Hispanic on the street may have caught a whiff of some of this truth and is even quick to utter similar things because they are starting to believe it. They are starting to understand that it is true, that it can't be refuted, that it can't be forgotten about, that it should be taught to our children, that it should be taught in the mainstream. But they try to hide that because the mainstream is owned by the very same people who sought to control and hide the truth from our people. And we have to come to terms with that. So we shouldn't be surprised when we see them drop deals with the celebrities and sports stars. We shouldn't be surprised when they bring out something on Twitter that goes against their beliefs, that it all of a sudden your rights no longer matter as an American citizen. Or you get revoked because now you have the freedom to say these things, but you don't have the freedom of avoiding the repercussions that come from saying the things that need to be said. And revolutionaries all throughout history have said bold things in times where things needed to be said. Well, Commanding General Yohanan and those 7 generals, those 7 elders who built the ISUPK had been bold enough to say those things, and now that boldness is starting to spread amongst the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. That boldness is starting to come forth, and that spirit is being poured out among these children of Israel. We are the ones that are going to stand strong and say the truth. So we're going to pull some scriptures out today. Of course, as you know, I always come prepared with the scriptures that we need to hear to give us the proof, the ammunition, the confidence that in these times, that what we're going through right now, what our people are going to go through as they continue to awaken all across the 4 corners of this earth, that there is going to be affliction brought to them. There is going to be tests brought to them. Now is not the time to apologize for being bold about what's right. Now is not the time to fold and be bought out by entities that seek to hide the truth from us no longer. That truth is going to come out no matter what. It's up to you to decide on whether or not you're going to be part of the righteous or part of the wicked, part of the tools used by our enemies to keep us asleep, or part of the tools used for righteousness to build a kingdom, a better world where truth reigns on this planet. You understand? And with that, let me get 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16, because we got to start there. 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 16. All right. Let me go ahead and get that real quick. I'm going to catch up with you.
Chapter 3 and 16.
Yep. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. Start at verse 16. Go ahead. And in the chat, let me know if the audio is coming out right. We just want to make sure that there's no technical issues. I'm coming off of sickness myself, so Salakia, bear with me while I'm trying to gather my voice back and everything. Christ did so much for us with us not even realizing it. When you go to church, they don't break down the truth well enough for you to really appreciate the affliction. We live through the punishments, the attempted court trials sent against us for saying what's real out in the streets. They try to put what's it called? What they try to do? They try to sue the Isupk for going down the streets and teaching and doing what we've been given to do: freedom of speech, freedom to gather, freedom of religion. It's called the freedoms that this world. It seems that the only time that we're actually free to do them is if it's the wrong one. How do you know which one's right? Look for the one that they're trying to stop from being worshipped. Think about that for a second. Think about how heavy it is for you to be a real revolutionary in this day and age. That everybody leading up to this point has been given the chance to learn and grow, and here we are with all this knowledge, and we have to take advantage of that knowledge. We have to step forward and continue carry that torch into the next phase of this awakening. Go ahead and start reading that. Remember, we want to read it to the mic because the mic's right here.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 16.
Go ahead.
Know ye not that ye are the temple of God?
No, I got to understand this first. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God? No, I'm not talking about ye as in Kanye West, but as a people, as a group, as a whole, our bodies are a temple of the Most High. That's what our purpose is. That's what we were made to be. We were created from the dust of the ground so that we could be a temple of the Most High, so that we could worship him, so we could praise him, so that we could understand that the Israelites in the Bible are blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. That's what we were made to be. We were made to be these things, not drug dealers and criminals. We were not made to be football players and basketball players, though we were given talent of physical strength and righteousness and healthiness and height, muscular tone, and things like that. Things that many of the tribes just naturally have. Above all else, we were created to be what? Read that again.
1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you.
And that the what?
Spirit of God dwelleth in you.
Spirit of the Most High dwells in you. You know what that spirit is? That spirit is courage. Courage to say the truth. That's what the Spirit of the Most High is. Courage to say things that go against the grain, while everybody else is comfortable and living a life based off of the lies that they were taught by being brainwashed by the beast that we live in, by this fourth beast that has devoured us and trampled us into pieces and separated us and given us idolatry and doctrines from their cultures. That we find the courage to draw our culture back using this book, using the words in this book, to find these precepts, to pull them out so that we have the courage once again to claim back who we are, who we really are, and that the world turns upside down because of it. Because the world will change just from the mere fact of us beginning to awaken. You see how much it shakes the airwaves just for when one man makes a simple tweet about a movie that he watched. You know how crazy that is? How billions of dollars got moved, contracts got torn apart, companies made business decisions just because of what one man did. What one man decided to do. Well, guess what? Well, that man, Christ, did the same thing to the Romans. They had to make business decisions because they were worried about their pockets being disaligned with money brought by our people. who they had underfoot. The same thing is happening today. And we're not trying to put any of these celebrities up there like they are Christ. But what are we saying? When you come into the truth, when you start to learn this knowledge, you can expect that there's going to be flack thrown your way. You can expect there to be challenges in your path to righteousness, because this world goes against the Most High. But as you become more and more closer to the Most High and becoming that temple of His, you become that spearhead, that arrow that cuts through the wickedness, that cuts through the darkness that we're in. Read on. Verse 17.
Verse 17. If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy.
Him shall what?
God destroy.
And what is the defiling of your temple?
Your body.
Your body. In what ways do our people nowadays defile their temple?
They smoke. They put tattoos. They.
Yep. Things that go against the laws in the Old Testament. I believe it's Leviticus chapter 19 that talks about us not putting marks on us. You know what I'm saying? Not shaving our beards fully bald. Not shaving our heads fully bald. You understand? Those are laws that we're given. A law of a law against adultery, for a man to be lusting after another man's wife. That is a sin. You understand? Those are things that defile us when we take on the role of the other nations and the wicked things that they do. So it should be no surprise that a kingdom that is rooted in wickedness wants to hold on to that as the reality. But when you start to say that the black man is a Jew, that the Hispanic and Native American man is an Israelite from the different tribes of the nation of Israel, that's when they look at you as a threat. That's when they look at you as as excommunicado, that you need to be dealt with immediately. They did this to Nick Cannon, and you saw him fold. They did this to other celebrities. You see them fail because they're not here in the Israelite school of UPK, because this is the place where that temple gets nourished. This is the place where that mind gets prepared for the warfare, the spiritual warfare that they face out there in this world when they try to bombard them to go back into sleep, back into their doctrine, back into the matrix that keeps them blind, that keeps them at ease with the hell that our people are in. But when men like Colin Kaepernick kneel for the national anthem, it shakes the entire world because it goes against their comfort, because they're trying to bring awareness to the destruction that's been taking place on our people. Is that not what this is all about? It's about how the black and Hispanic man has suffered here in America. Just like how the Israelites suffered in Egypt. Just like how we suffered in every captivity that we've been in. And this is the last captivity. This is when all the chips are on the table and everybody's all in. Who's gonna take the pot this time? Who's gonna win the ultimate prize, which is what? Rulership, the kingdom, dominion over the earth. I can assure you that it won't be the wicked, and that's what they're afraid of. Read on. It's like you read that again. If any man defile the temple of the Most High, him shall God destroy. Why is this important? For you celebrities out there that know that you're Israelites, keep in mind that the Most High is still looking to see if you're willing to change your life to then become a doer of the word and not just a hearer of it. Because it becomes a fad when somebody hears, oh, yeah, the Jews are black. Yeah, and then what are you doing smoking a blunt? What are you doing? What are you representing by doing those things that you did when you did not know that you were an Israelite? Once you understand who you really are, there becomes a responsibility and a certain status that needs to be upheld. Go ahead.
For the temple of God is holy.
For the temple of God is what? Holy. Which means what?
Separate.
Which means separated, separate from the world. As you begin to learn this truth, you start to separate from the way everybody else thinks. Everybody thinks that the Jewish man is the Israelite on the earth. And when you start to learn the truth, you start to realize that this is separate from what everyone says. So you feel separated when you tweet about a video that goes against known history in the world, established history in the world. You become holy in that sense when you start to follow God's law, statutes, and commandments, because the rest of the world does not do that. The rest of the world tries to stay locked into the way that they want to live, the way that they've set things up, because to the victor goes the spoils. And guess what? We have been spoiled. They won when they fought against us, when they conquered us. And so they established their way of life like as if it is the truth, but it is not. It's fake. All of it is fake. But thanks to the Most High for giving us the truth, because there is nothing more powerful than that on this earth. Nothing more powerful than a black man realizing who he really is and then putting down that blunt, putting down that crack, putting down that gun that he was going to use to go shoot up his brother that looked just like him, that had the same melanin on his skin, that looked just as dark as he did. It grew up right down the street from him. You used to play basketball with him, but then he looked at your girl wrong. Now you want to go and kill him. Or he stepped on your shoe wrong, or one of his homies took the rims from your car. Now you want to go and get payback. Now is not the time to throw your life away over petty matters. When you're looking at billionaires losing billions of dollars just for saying one thing, you need to look at the value behind what was said and understand that those things change and shape this world. And they can be shaped for your benefit if you understand how to harness that power. The power of your culture, the power of your heritage. The Most High has been setting the stage for many, many years now. And now here we are at the forefront of it, and the Israelite School of UPK welcomes all challengers, all debaters that think they could come up here and try to prove otherwise, that what was said didn't have some truth behind it. Because we'll give you the whole truth. We'll give you the full understanding. We use the scriptures. We use the Bible, artifacts, everything that's necessary to show people exactly what's right and what's not right. We don't use our opinion. To heck with what opinions are. Matter of fact, the Jewish man believing that he's a Jew, that's an opinion. That's not a fact. But when we come correct. We show you the proofs. We proofread everything. We give you the works cited. We show you our references. The Bible all throughout. Old Testament, New Testament, Apocrypha. That's what we're going to do today. We're going to continue to show you that truth. Give me the next verse. Go ahead. I need verse 18. Let me get verse 18.
Verse 18. Let no man deceive himself.
Go ahead.
If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world.
If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, go ahead.
Let him become a fool.
Let him become a what?
Let him become a fool.
Let him become a what?
A fool.
So that what?
That he may be wise.
That he may be wise. What is this saying? Those that are out there that have a status in this society, celebrities, sports personalities, those of Native American and Black and Hispanic descent that start to get a status in this place, need to stay humble. Because the moment that you think that you're wise and you say something, this place is prepared to destroy you. This place was created to make you look like a fool when you think that you're wise. It's important for you to prepare to really become wise. Read that again from the top, Uncle Kashab.
Let no man deceive himself.
Go ahead.
If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world.
Seemeth to be wise in this world. Go ahead.
Let him become a fool, that he may be wise.
Let him become a fool, that he may be wise. Now, we hear about the thing that's going on with Kyrie Irving. We got to talk about it. Get that article ready, as a matter of fact. Get that article ready. Because what they're trying to do to Kyrie is they're damn near extorting money from him, making him look like a fool. Making him look like a fool for saying something so controversial. So, and what do they say? They say that he's inciting violence. He's inciting hatred. He just tweeted a movie that he saw. Now, why is it that they would insinuate that he's being hateful, violent? Why would they say these things? Because they understand that when somebody starts to say something that's actually true, it starts to make the wise look foolish. That's why they tried to set it up to where Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, is going to have a meeting with Kyrie Irving. And they're setting conditions for him to return to the basketball court. They're saying that he has to do, sensitivity training, that he has to meet with Adam Silver, that he has to meet with Jewish leaders, that he has to pay $500,000 to the Jews. So they damn near, they taxing him just for saying something against them. And what kind of power do you have to have in this world to do that to somebody? You have to own the media. You have to own the airwaves. You have to own the land that is bought in this place. You have to own a lot of things to have the influence over when a man can dribble a basketball on a court, though he's under contract. But I thought he had freedom of speech. I thought we lived in a country where you're able to say the things that you want to say and that you're able to have a freedom of religion and believe the things you want without the repercussions to come from that. When it comes to a black man professing to be a Jew, the world suddenly shuts off to you. Now you don't have access to the things you used to anymore. Now you don't have the credence or the credibility anymore. Did they trip out like this when Kyrie said that the earth was flat? Not like this. They didn't pull shoe deals from him and shut him down for saying something that wasn't true, because we all know that of course is a false statement. But they did do that for when he said something that was true, when he said something that was right. In the Israelite school of UPK, we'll defend our brothers, because we have the knowledge that it takes to defend every statement that comes with saying that the black man is the Jew, that the so-called Negro that was brought here on slave ships comes from the tribe of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, that the Native American people that were enslaved over here and destroyed and slaughtered, that they are from the 12 tribes of Israel also, because we have the records, because we know the book, we read the book. That's one of the weapons they've used against us. They put things in books because they understand how lazy we are after having to work 40 hours a week for them, after having to go to school through K through 12 and wake up early, and our parents were too broke to give us a good, healthy meal to go to school in the morning to learn. So we go to school tired as heck, barely scratching by in the school system, not learning a damn thing about our true heritage, not learning anything that actually is going to give us life and substance. So they basically dwell off of our ignorance. When we actually pick up a book, when we start to go into our records and turn off the movies that they depict as if they're the Israelites, turn off the TV shows, shut down all the false visualizations that they try to bombard us with to make us just accept their reality. When we start to read and empower ourselves with knowledge and wisdom, that they're going to go and try to make a public example of one of our brothers for doing something like that, that's an act of war. That's anti-Semitism right there, because it's the truth that the children of Israel are of color. We read last week or a couple of weeks ago in the book of 2 Kings chapter 17 that the Israelites that were brought out of our land after the split of Israel and Judah were brought into Assyrian captivity, and that fake non-Israelite people were moved into our land. Why is it that nobody brings that up when the discussion is talked about? Who is it that's talking about, if not the very same people that try to claim that land today? Try to say that they're wise and that we're foolish for saying other than what they believe. But we know these records. We know them better than them. In fact, they'll even admit that they're not the real Jews. They'll even admit that they're converts to Judaism and Israelite culture. But when we say these things, we say it because we are 1,000% correct. We have all the confidence by the courage that the Most High gives us in our spirit. Because as we begin to purify ourselves, when we put down that blunt, when we stop eating shrimp and pork, when we stop dealing with other nationalities in our wedding chambers, start dealing with our own sisters, start dealing with our own brothers and sisters amongst our tribes, when we come together like the Most High said for us to do and keep his laws, we then get the courage and the power and the knowledge necessary to turn and shatter their entire reality. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of those things. So don't let no man deceive. Don't let nobody deceive themselves to think that they're on some type of level when they're not in the Israelite school of UPK. You must become a fool so that you can then be humbled enough to come into here and get in the all black to become wise. Brotherhood is a weapon. And this article here is going to show you that there are brothers throughout the International Basketball Association that also understand, at least have some zeal of understanding that what they're doing to him is wrong. And if they let them get away with doing this to one of their brethren that they work with, one of their colleagues, that is going to allow them to walk all over every other brother afterwards. Buck breaking is what they used to call it in the slave days. Nowadays, they're doing this on the internet. They're doing this on public TV access channels, the radio channels. They use those things to spread their lies and to embarrass us when we try to spread the truth. But we are bolder than that. Let me get that article. Go ahead and start from the top. Give me that NBA article real quick. Go ahead. You got it on the screen.
Jaylen Brown says Players Association has issues with conditions Kyrie Irving must meet to return to Nets.
We spoke about those conditions, about him having to meet with the Jewish rabbis, their so-called wise men. They did the same thing to Nick Cannon, to have sensitivity training, to try to open his eyes to their perspective. Their perspective is full of lies and it's BS. Because Nick Cannon easily folded and started publicly saying, oh, well, I didn't know all this. So they really opened my eyes to their history. And, oh, these people really are Jews. No, we don't fall for that. Kyrie should not have to fall for that. He should not have to be brought that low to find himself in the company of liars, thieves, and imposters. He shouldn't have to. And these brothers here within the National Basketball Association, and what's it called? What's the name of that entity? The Players Association? It's kind of like their, what do you call it? Union.
Yeah, union.
It's the union for the NBA players. They're starting to have murmur amongst themselves and say, you know what? Something ain't right about all this. They're really pushing this brother. They're pushing him to the brink. They're trying to embarrass him. There may be some truth in what he was bringing out. Have we not considered that? Heck, Skip and Shannon did. General Muhammad brought out, no, it's like it was Captain Mashak Mayum who brought out just the other day how on Skip and Shannon Undisputed, Skip even said out of his own mouth, he said there may be some truth to what that was saying when talking about the black man being a Jew. He knows a little something. But he don't get criticized for saying it. It's because when a black man says it, that's the one that needs to get hammered down. That's the nail that needs to be put back into the plank. Because the second we try to stand out, the second we try to break away, they want to put us right back to sleep. Nah, go back to watching NFL highlights, watching NBA players dribble up and down the court and dunking the basketball. That's what y'all are good at. Y'all aren't the children of Israel. Y'all don't have the temple of the Most High. Go back to smoking your blunt, drinking your alcohol, going to your public recreational center to play some basketball, to burn off some steam from all the energy that you've been holding up over the years, because you need your best put on this earth to serve us. That's what they look at us like. They look at us as we're just slaves to them. That we get enticed and enchanted by their marketing and the companies that they own, the entertainment that they own, that we're not allowed to say anything truthful. We're not allowed to say anything bold. It's pathetic that they have to go through such lengths to try to keep us from saying what needs to be said. They can't stop us. But one thing they can do is take a brother in the world that doesn't know better, that doesn't know how to properly defend his position, and they'll make a mockery of him. They'll make an example out of him because they know that that's a brother that the Most High may not be working with as much as is needed for him to stand up against them. So they see that. The devil seeks to see whom he may devour. And he's looking to devour those that are not in the Israelite school of UPK. Anybody that's not in this school is subject to the same treatment, subject to the same humiliation. But the scripture says, study to show thyself to be approved by the Most High, a workman that can rightfully divide the words of truth. And this book tells you the truth all throughout. Read on in that article.
Memphis, as vice president of the National Basketball Players Association, Celtics forward Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown, he's a representative of the union for the NBA players. Go ahead.
So the players' union is not comfortable with the conditions placed by the Brooklyn Nets on Kyrie Irving's return from his suspension.
Go ahead.
According to Brown, Irving will meet with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who we all know is an Edomite, right? You got to meet with our Adam Silver. Is that I think it shows a picture of him. Does it show a bald white dude on there? That's Adam Silver is the commissioner of the NBA. He wants to have a conversation. I don't know if it's going to be publicized or recorded. You know what I mean? But there's going to be a number of prepared questions and supposed prepared answers that Kyrie's supposed to have for him to apologize, for him to denounce the things that were said in that video as if the whole entire thing could be discredited. Because if they can discredit the black man being an Israelite and they can discredit what we say about them being imposters, then they can go back to living their fantasy life of us being slaves to them, of us being subject to them. But this time is over. It's the time of awakening that we live in now. These brothers on the street in the Isupk, my brothers, we go to war out there. We make sure that the truth is heard. That's why when they started talking about these things on the blog talk shows online and everything, first thing they said is, man, it's time that he's starting to sound like one of those dudes screaming on the corner on the streets. Who else is that talking about if not us? Because people hear about us. The scripture says that the prophets will be seen. We are getting seen. We are getting recognized. It is influencing hip hop. It is influencing sports personalities. It is influencing the mind of the youth. We capitalize on it when we become the premier example of how to defend the truth. The big up to brothers like Captain Tazariak, General Mahaiman, Commanding General Yohana, who boldly stands in the face of so much danger and adversity and scoffs at it and instead raises entire cities upside down by raising righteous men out of the hellish conditions that they're in these cities where we're scattered, in those barrios, those Native American reservations, and those ghettos. We no longer need a bottle of liquor to get through the day because now we know that we have each other. You understand? Brothers like this, Jaylen Brown and them, sense something wrong with this. It's brotherly for them to even consider just the danger behind what this is implementing here. Read on.
Tuesday, to discuss the aftermath of Irving's controversial posting of a link to a movie with anti-Semitic reference.
Now, they'll be quick to say anti-Semitic. We got to break that down. What does it mean to be anti-Semitic?
Against the Jews.
Against, well, people from the seed of Shem, right? If you want to go to the root of it all, Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? And we all know that the tribes of Israel came from the seed of Shem. So when it's saying anti-Semitic, it's referring to those that came from the seed of Shem, more specifically, Israel. Now, are they lying when they say that they're from the seed of Shem? No, because Esau also comes from the seed of Shem as well. This is basic biblical understandings of things that we go through in the history classes, and we can, of course, go into further detail on those things at any time. You know what I'm saying? When you read about Jacob and Esau, Genesis, was it chapter 25 and whatnot, where things really start to break off after the flood. You start to have different nationalities and the 18 nations and everything that comes with that. Everything that comes from the separation and the way the Most High gave each nation their inheritance. So we have to understand that, yeah, all that is taking place. But here's the issue with that. Kyrie cannot be anti-Semitic when he is for Black people finding out their true heritage. So what do? They won't go into detail on the book. They won't go into the different talking points on the book on national TV. Some articles may go further in depth and talk about some of those things. But we know that the movie that he promoted was titled what? Do you remember the title of it?
Of the movie?
Yeah.
Hebrews to Negroes?
Hebrews to Negroes. With the black fist on the title of the book and on the movie cover. We went from Hebrews to Negroes. You look at the receipts from the transatlantic slave trade, where it would say that these Negroes that were being sold into slavery, it even mentioned that they were Hebrews on them. Did they not? So when the movie goes into certain points, it'll go into certain aspects that tie in to the Israelite movement, our awakening, our heritage, some of the things that we say. So there are some similarities. And they're afraid of those ideologies getting out into the mainstream, into the airwaves. They don't want that 10-year-old boy that goes to basketball practice to come home after trying to dribble like Kyrie Irving and see that Kyrie Irving is saying that he's a Jew. And then him being inspired to follow God's laws. They don't want them to do that. They don't want the youth to learn who they really are. They want the youth to be stuck at home to just play video games all day and beg for ramen noodles. They don't want us to continue to learn our true heritage. Read.
And his refusal to apologize or say he is not anti-Semitic in multiple interviews.
And Kyrie is also right for not saying that he hasn't apologized. He hasn't said that he's sorry for being anti-Semitic. Why? Because he's not being anti-Semitic. They're trying to superimpose that on him by assuming that being anti-Semitic means being anti-Jewish. When in fact, what was being said in that movie, what was being said in those books, and what the UPK has been saying since 1969 was actually true. That's why even their own rabbis will admit it. Even some of their own sports personalities and commentators on the television, on ESPN and whatnot, they're even willing to say, "Oh, there may be some truth to that." Go ahead.
Well, didn't he say, "I cannot be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from"?
Yeah, which was real heavy for him to say, and he couldn't have. When I remember when this video came out, we were driving on the way back from the cookout, a glorious event. You know what I'm talking about? Where our people came together, parlayed, prayed to the Most High, you know what I'm saying, commemorated each other, our brotherhood, our unity, because we keep God's laws. The scripture says in Zephaniah 2:1, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. We truly are not desired on this earth. And on the way home, me and Officer Kabar, we wrapping it up, we chatting and stuff, and I'm like, yo, man, check this video out. It's Kyrie. Look at what he's saying. He sounded very sober and calm and collected and careful about the way that he was answering the questions thrown at him during his interview. The demeanor that he had was a different Kyrie than what I remember when he was talking about the earth being flat. We're talking about the vaccines. This was a different Kyrie right here. This is the kind of spirit I want to see more of in the Black and Hispanic man and the Native American man that takes a second and considers the following. Maybe we are the Jews. Maybe we are the people that God punishes for not keeping his laws. Because you look at our condition and you look at our destruction and you can't help but to want to do something about it. Even if it just means something as simple as tweeting a movie. Something so easy. It took 10 seconds to just copy the link, paste it, post it. Say a couple words, bada boom, bada bing. Now people can see it. Now what do you got? Now you got all this backlash. You got all this hatred. You got all these discussions. Everybody wants to have an opinion on what his intentions were. What about what he said? What did he say? He said that he wasn't being anti-Semitic. And the other players in the NBA knew that damn well as well, because Kyrie wasn't the kind of person to just go and just start bashing on folks. But he found something interesting in that movie, something that inspired him. This is the same Kyrie that came to the understanding that he was a Native American, was he not? Went to the powwows, claimed a Native American ancestry. Then he comes to find out the black people are Hebrews, and then so are the Native Americans. He's listening to the Isupk. He'll understand that even his ancestors from the Native American tribes are also of us. And we defend them too. And we'll go to war for them too. I'll go to war until every single man, woman, and child of the nation of Israel knows who they are. Because this work does not finish until that is accomplished. This work does not finish until they correct their temples. Because they all belong to the Most High. It is our duty to prepare the way for them. It is our duty to continue what Christ started. Read. Go ahead.
The Nets suspended the former Celtics guard for a minimum of 5 games before Irving finally posted an apology Thursday night on his Instagram page.
So we apologize. Don't bash him for it. Don't bash him for staying. Like he held it down for a minute. He held it down for a good minute. As much as I would expect from somebody that's not even considered a young man in the school. Because I know a young man is, at least learning some things to prepare to defend himself, let alone a trooper, let alone an officer. You understand? This world is foolish. So it thinks that they could just have their way with our people. You understand? They think that they could just bully us back to the Stone Age, bully us back to our old ways, where we are just living like drug dealers and drug addicts. Those days are over. Those days are over. You're starting to see this truth being brought to the mainstream. That's the end game. We're in the end game right now. We're in the last days. We're gonna talk about this some more. Let me. Was there any more in there? Let me see if there's any more heavy points on there. Go ahead.
The Nets set 6 guidelines Irving must meet before he can return to the club.
Mm-hmm.
A condemnation of the movie.
So he has to condemn. So he has to publicly say that movie was incorrect. Go ahead.
A meeting with Nets owner Joe Tsai.
Then he has to meet with his slave master, the person that owns the Brooklyn Nets that he gets all this money to play for. Go ahead.
A meeting with Jewish leaders and members of the anti-defamation.
Now that's the one right there. Read that again. Is that on the screen so everybody can see it? Read that again.
And members of the Anti-Defamation League. Sensitive training, anti-Semitic training.
That's where they're going to try to make him look like a fool. Like they did to Nick Cannon. Like they did to anybody that tries to say and profess to be a Jew. It's no different than what happened back in the time of the Maccabees. It's happening right now. And it's the same kingdom too. It's the Greco-Roman Empire. If you think that this right here is further proof that the white man is the deceiver that the Bible speaks of, the devil that the Bible speaks of, because it's the same kingdom doing the same thing they did before. Read.
And a 500,000 donation to anti-hate causes.
So anti-hate causes, which I can bet that somebody out there is going to pocket that money for their own personal gain. Because I tell you what, that $500,000, I bet none of it goes to black folks. Because when it comes to not hating us, they close their minds to it. They don't make a fuss about our people being treated wrong. But when it comes to them and supporting their false narrative as to who the real Jews are on this earth, oh, now we got to pay taxes. Now we got to pay tribute. Now we got to meet with their so-called leaders. No. Kyrie Irving should tell them, no, thank you. I'm going to meet with Commanding General Yohanan instead. I want to meet the brothers in Brooklyn and in New York. He should report to Isupk headquarters to get the Israelite training necessary to tackle the publicity that comes from saying that you're an Israelite. He should be in classes. He should be in the all black. Floyd Mayweather, Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, all of them. Even Muhammad Ali back in the day should have denounced the Nation of Islam and came into the Israelite school of UPK. All of them should have done that. When you tune into these classes, you're doing what they haven't done yet. You understand the advantage of that? You understand the position that you put yourself in for your future and your children's future. When you make that chess move of doing this now, not waiting until the end, not waiting until it's convenient for you. Our people are broke anyways. What do we have to lose? Do it anyways. Come to class. Come to Sabbath service. Learn your culture, man, because it is worth billions. It is infinitely valuable on this earth, where entire nations fight and kill and destroy one another to have a piece of it, to have a piece of life as an Israelite, life as a people that deserve to live in the Holy Land. And they sure as heck don't deserve it. Go ahead and drop that article. Let me get 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19. Let's get back to that. A big ups to those brothers that are at least recognizing something's fishy about what they're trying to get him to do. And that's supposed to happen tomorrow, I believe.
So you said.
Yeah, he's supposed to meet with Adam Silver tomorrow. Well, go ahead.
I think like Sarah posted something like he's like just deciding like he's thinking about resigning or something.
I heard some rustlings about that too. He's looking to just retire from the NBA.
Like,
He should just do the Uncle Drew League or something. You do our own thing. Go get with T-Mac and do the 1v1 league. And heck, if we need to go back to just the old Negro League, we need to do that. Something needs to happen. Our people can't live without that basketball. We might as well have it ourselves. We might as well circulate that fun and entertainment amongst each other, that competitiveness and that fighting spirit amongst one another, and brotherhood. It's like when we go to play basketball at the park, we could go against each other and play against each other hardcore until we ain't got no strength left in our legs because we've been running up and down the court all day. But at the end of the day, we got some good exercise and we spent time amongst one another to test one another, to better one another. We can still do those things, but not for their entertainment, for ours. Not for their benefit, but for ours. We need to start thinking about ourselves because all they care about is themselves. They obviously don't care about us because they're willing to throw us under the bus for every little thing that we do, for everything that goes against their way of life. Give me verse 19. Go ahead.
Okay. This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 19. For the wisdom of this world.
The wisdom of what?
Of this world.
Which world?
Of
this world.
This world.
Go ahead.
Is foolishness with God.
Is what?
Foolishness with God.
So when they say that God so loved the world, what world is it that God loves? You think God would love a foolish world? This current, present evil world is foolish. And it's foolish to the Most High. But the UPK challenges the world. You know how we challenge the world? We could challenge it because we come from a different world. The world of Israel. Because Israel is the real world. This world is fake. This current world is fake. Our world is real. Our world is true. Our world is based in truth. That's how the UPK never fails, never loses, never takes no losses. Because we come from a world founded in truth. We come from a world founded in power and courage and wisdom and proof and all the studying and everything required to make it real. And little by little, it is influencing this world. And it is dismantling this world before our very eyes. We come from a different world. So we were born in this foolish world. Me and you born in the hospital, or our parents, they were raised here. But at one point, we left that world. When we stepped into these doors, when we put on that all black, we started learning our culture. That's what it takes for you to go through to this present, to the world of Israel. You understand? So we left their world, and when we did, we became fools in their eyes for doing that. It was foolish for us to leave their world because their world is all fine and dandy and sunshine and rainbows, when really we were able to see past it, to see the destruction that it did to us, to see how much hatred is really aimed at us within that world, to see how much lies have been embedded in their society to keep our people suppressed. Their world is fake. Our world is real. And when we come back and step into their world, we crush them at every avenue, be it on Clubhouse, be it at the debate halls, be it on the streets, at camp every week. When we step into their world, we step into it with the power that comes from our own world. And little by little, some of these brothers and sisters out there are going to start to catch on to it as well. So the scripture again says, for the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. So these very same people who own the media, who own everything that you see, the music industry, they own the rights to the publishings for the movies and the books. They own things like Amazon and the internet services and the internet companies that provide those services and the companies that build the satellites to put into space to make it all work. They own all those things. And their craftiness, we still manage to use their own craftiness against them. Because this thing was said on the internet, was it not? One of their tools. When we teach these classes, we're using some of their craftiness against them. In fact, we helped invent those things. We might as well have a part in it. Though they benefit and get rich off of it, while we have to pay $100 a month just to have access to things like the internet, to have access to things like resources and books. They think they took us as fools. They took us as idiots. And they seek to take all of our resources and our energy so that we can continue to serve them. When in fact, when we take even just a little bit of time at the end of our day after working a long shift, or we take the time to sit up in bed and study even though we've been sick all week, to learn just something new that just might change our condition, that they got to go and then try to say that that they're the ones that are wise and that we're the ones that are foolish. No, the Most High is going to take them in their own craftiness. He's going to use their own tools against them. And that's the beauty of these scriptures, because these scriptures, Shalom says, these scriptures were always here for us in this day and age. They were put here hundreds, thousands of years ago so that we can read them today and snap out of the funk that we're in. So that you could be bedridden and all types of ailments, of health issues, and then you could read these words and be awakened and fight to become strong again. When you were riddled with drugs and dependent on getting high every day, and you read these words in this book, and it gave you the power to put that weed down and to stop selling weed and stop being around bad influences, that right there is proof that this book was made for you, Israel. You blacks and Hispanics and Native American Indians, this is your weapon. Learn how to use it properly so that you can go against the ways of this world and stand strong in front of them and not be afraid and not back down, to hold on to your promise, to follow through with what you said you were going to do. And that's what the Israelite School of UPK has been doing since 1969. We've been raising Black, Hispanic, and Native American brothers so that they can learn how to harness this weapon against our enemies. They don't read the book. They don't even read the Apocrypha. They don't read the New Testament. These Jewish folks, they don't even read the right versions of it. They have their own perverted versions of it, the Talmud. Where are they getting their resources from? None of that is founded in truth. These words have never changed. But the wisdom of this world has changed. The assumption that they are the righteous, that's what they've superimposed on this society. And that's coming to an end. But give me verse, go ahead and drop that. Give me Matthew chapter 7, verse 19.
So you said Matthew chapter 7, verse 19?
Yeah, Matthew chapter 7, verse 19. Whenever you're ready. Okay.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 19.
Mm-hmm.
Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
Right, because every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit gets destroyed. The scripture that we just read in 1 Corinthians about our body being the temple of the Most High, he that defileth his temple, God will destroy. Read that again.
Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
Read on. Verse 20.
Verse 20. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them.
Wherefore what?
By their fruits.
What's that talking about? If we're referring to people, what are their fruits? Go ahead.
The good works.
The things they do. The product. Right? The tree is the source. The fruit is what the tree makes. So if these are talking about people, it's talking about the temples of the Most High, which is amongst us, Israel, Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. If we aren't doing the right thing, then we get cast down and destroyed. That's what you see amongst our people because of the music industry and its influences on us, because of the foods we eat and the way that our people don't keep God's law, statutes, and commandments. We break down and fall apart because we've been fraying away from our true heritage. And that's what these celebrities need to understand. They're starting to say things like that. Starting to understand that the people that are in control of these entities are doing so in a way to keep us in the fire, to keep us casted down, to make sure that we don't bring forth good fruit. But there was one that became that perfect example for us. And that's why we read these words in this book, because it points us in the right direction. It shows us exactly who managed to survive that affliction. And when these things start to be brought out, like the Israelite school of UPK is the black KKK, and just outlandish things that make no sense at all, they'll try to exaggerate those things to make us out to be the villain, so that they can try to portray themselves as the righteous, to make us look foolish, because when we say things, we say them harshly, we say them with strength, and they take that as offense, and they take us as fools for standing strong in front of their wickedness. Slaki, read on. Give me verse 21. Wow.
Verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven.
Not everyone that shall say unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. When we left Egypt, we all knew we were Israelites. How's that any different than now? We're starting to learn that we're Israelites. We're starting to learn that the Jews are black, they are Hispanic. And there's going to be a lot of people out there, like you always see them in the comment section. You always see them on the blog posts, where they're quick to agree on some of these things, but are they doing their part? Are they doing enough? That's why we're so critical on ourselves. That's why we have rank and order, to stay strict on each other, so that we can stay locked in, so that we can do more to prove ourselves to the Most High. Those that don't fall into the ranks, there's no guarantee that in the day of the Most High, that when Christ returns, that he's going to accept them. I would pray that all Israel be saved. My thoughts and prayer to the Most High is that all of Israel can earn the acceptance of Christ. But there will be some that don't. And that's why he's saying it right here. This is Christ saying this, because these words are read. Read that again from the top, verse 21. Show.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. Mm-hmm. But he that doeth the will of my Father.
He that what?
Doeth the will of my Father.
What is the will of the Father?
The law, statutes, commandments.
That's always going to be the staple of it, right? Mm-hmm. It's that simple. Because doing the will of the Father is what? Is being righteous. They're wanting to keep us from that. Because it's a domino effect, right? The domino effect is, we don't know that we're Israelites, and we don't know that we're supposed to keep God's laws. And if we don't keep God's laws, then we end up suffering and dying here in America. And they stay in power, and they stay rich, and they stay in control. But if we start to keep God's laws, because we starting to recognize our true heritage, the domino effect is positive for us and not for them. We are the ones that start to take control. We are the ones that the Most High begins to bless and work with, because it was always meant for us. We always knew that this was going to happen. Our people prophesied of this all throughout the scriptures. Christ is doing this on this earth now, because in that spirit of awakening is starting to show itself now, because more of us are starting to keep God's laws. These things happening in the news that you see, the war in Ukraine, the natural disasters, the outreach in the media, all these things are happening because you come to class. These things happen because you study the Bible, because we do them together, and collectively the Most High is starting to see our effort And that effort deserves reward. And the reward is seeing more and more of these things occurring, like birth pangs of a woman in travail, where more and more big events start to happen because more and more of us choose to be righteous. And no longer are we evil fruit that deserves to be broken up and cast into the fire. We begin to be ones that can be of use to the Lord, ones that can show and be worthy of his praise. You understand? Keep going.
Which is in heaven.
Go ahead. Give me verse 22.
Okay. Verse 22. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name?
Hmm.
And in thy name have cast out devils?
And this is what we want to avoid. We want to avoid being denied by Christ. We don't want to be the ones that are slipping up because we were not teaching our people God's laws. But these celebrities out there, they may be quick to want to take the credit for understanding some truth. But the responsibility that comes from it is that they then need to humble themselves to continue to grow, to humble themselves to strive to learn more than just, oh yeah, maybe we are the Jews. What customs should we keep? What should I teach my children to eat? What should I teach my child when it comes to him finding himself a woman to be with? Where can I find that knowledge? That knowledge is in the Bible. But if you want to get it done right, it's going to be here in this little sanctuary that the Most High has set up under Christ. You understand? And we just so happen to be currently under Commanding General Yohana, who has held it down in this truth. We do this because we know it's right. Though it is controversial, though it is going to turn heads, because we have to have that shock value to shake you out of your funk. We have to do these things because our people love to see the commotion, the controversy, the fighting, the action. And when we do it this way, we're actually tricking you into wanting to find out more about God's word. When we say the white man is the devil, it's one of the most worst things you could say in this society. It's the most shocking thing you could say. But why do we say it? Because it's true. Because it's true. Because you see the proof in their politics, their politricks. You see the truth in their effort to cover up every little thing they do that's corrupt. You see it by them flexing their power to trample all over us, to put their knees on our neck, to put us in the grave, to shoot us, to turn the entire world into chaos with their weapons. It's the truth. The truth is what matters most. Christ disregarded people's feelings because he knew that without the truth in the earth would fall into even worse condition. But we have to say those things. We have to shape the world into the reality that Christ had set us to build for him, to prepare for him. Because that's the only way the world gets better. So we have to say these things. It's our responsibility to do them. So don't try to knock us for doing what you're supposed to be doing with us. Kanye, Kyrie. These are brothers. We're willing to defend those people because we understand that there are levels to this knowledge. You don't just come in full-fledged and you know how to, profess to be an Israelite. Shoot, I've been studying 10 years. I'm barely scratching the surface. You understand? This is an ongoing thing. This takes lifetimes to complete. We just may be in the lifetime that it takes to finish it. We would pray for that opportunity. But one thing we know for sure is that as long as I got breath in my lungs and the spirit in my body, given by the Most High, given the courage to continue. I'm going to continue to fight for as long as it takes until everybody starts to profess their true heritage. There's nothing more noble than that. I wouldn't want to live any other type of life. No other life can give me the satisfaction of doing this work. You understand? And so we have to understand that we have to endure it. But to endure it the same way Christ did. Because in the day of the Lord, when Christ getting ready to sit on his throne, I want him to look at each and every brother in this school and say, you did what you were supposed to, Most High Christ, the water. You know what I'm saying? That's what we want. We don't want to start violence and have black people pick up guns and try to shoot other nationalities. That's not what we want. We want them to follow God's laws because we want them to be crowned by Christ. That's the end game. Nothing more important than that. To see my brother raised up. To see my brother come from of a spirit of curiosity and lacking to now courage and wisdom. Every single one of our spirits is precious. Every single one of our temples is what builds this kingdom. So we got to go out there and get them. Those out there in the world that have influence, I suggest you get ready because the overflow is coming. Drop that. Let me get Isaiah chapter 53 and 1.
Isaiah chapter 53 and 1.
Mm-hmm. Isaiah 53 and 1. I like this because this Isaiah chapter 53 and 1 is a scripture that you can put with your color class. You know how you go into your color class, Daniel chapter 10, verse 5 and 6, Revelation chapter 1, verses 13 through 15. Isaiah chapter 53 is a prophecy of Christ as well. So let's get it. Let's read it. Start at verse 1.
Okay. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 53, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Who hath believed our reports?
Mm-hmm.
And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed?
Damn, that's a heavy thing to ask. Who have believed our report? You know, like who actually agrees with what we're saying is true? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? To who has the truth? Who has the right way? Read.
Verse 2. For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant.
As a what?
As a tender plant.
Read on.
And as a root out of a dry ground.
Mm-hmm. So he shall grow up before him as a tender plant. We just read about bad plants and the result of what those end up on, being broken down, being cast into the fire. But this person here, whom we are going to find out that God is working with, he planted himself by a source that was willing to was capable of giving him what he needed to grow. Read.
He hath no form nor comeliness.
He have what?
No form nor comeliness.
Meaning what? No beauty, no form. Christ wasn't the most impressive being on the earth. You understand? The Most High says, I will make the fools to confound the wise. He'll take the least of us, the underdog, to prove his capability through us. That's why Israel is such a glorious people, because you see so many examples of this in our society. You watch, your brothers watch the NBA, the NFL, boxing, all these different sports, the academic arena and everything like that, where people of color from Black, Hispanic, and Native American culture, they'll grow up with nothing. They'll grow up with disadvantages and go against all odds and fight their way into a better life of something that is, you know what I'm saying, that they would have never imagined that they were capable of doing because of their surroundings, surrounded by death, surrounded by drive-by shootings and drugs, crack deals gone wrong. You understand? By school systems with textbooks that are 10 years old and got a whole bunch of drawings written in and you can't even really learn from. You know what I'm saying? All the distractions that we're given, and yet they still prevail. Christ is an underdog story as well. Christ was not seen as the most glorious being on this earth. You understand what I'm saying? But he was from a righteous seed. And he went against all odds to stand strong, to be an example for the whole world to see. The most famous person to ever walk the earth came from nothing, was assumed to not be anybody worth taking a second glance at. Just like you and me here in the world. Nobody takes a second glance at us. Nobody does those things for us. Why? Because we have dark skin. Because we have because we're not jumping out of Ferraris. You know what I'm saying? Our families are barely making ends meet when we're growing up. Scratch their way from nothing. That's the underdog story. This is a story. This is our story. And this is our king we're reading about here. Read.
And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him.
Man, read that again.
And when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him.
What book are we in?
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 53, verse 2.
We're reading about this person here. And how this person is not desired in this place. Read on.
Verse 3.
Yeah.
Verse 3. He is despised and rejected of men.
He is what?
Despised and rejected of men.
Go ahead.
And man of sorrows.
A man of sorrows. Go ahead.
And acquainted with grief.
Acquainted with grief. Christ was despised for bringing out the grief of our people. Jeremiah chapter 14 verse 2 tells you, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. And these people are black unto the ground, meaning dark like the earth. These people are in grievance, sorrow. What do you see when we're out teaching in the street? When we're talking in class, when you watch Black Watch News, you see grief, you see sorrow, because all we see is our people being destroyed. These celebrities, they're starting to catch on to that. They're starting to understand that to some degree. They see how much struggle we deal with here in America. That they have to say something about it. And you got to understand that when you get despised for those things, Christ was despised also. He was despised for showing grief and sorrow for his people. Read.
And we hid as it were our faces from him.
Right, because you don't want to, like, brothers in the world don't want to be around brothers in the truth. Because all we ever talk about is things that they think we're just being real negative. We have such a pessimistic outlook on things. No, we're doing our job. It's like Christ did his job and was despised for it. And people turn their faces from him. Just like how when you say something heavy at camp and they turn their face from you to go on their way because they don't want to open their mind up to the truth. They'd rather stay fooled by this society and thinking that it was built for their comfort. But those thoughts will linger in their mind even when they turn their face from you, because what you will say is the truth. And it'll go straight through their spirit, straight through their flesh. And maybe one day they'll consider before it's too late. If these blacks and Hispanics, maybe perhaps we ought to change. Or you could just keep walking and ignore those brothers that are telling you to change your life. But we're trying to make sure that Christ doesn't overlook you when he reigns on this earth. That's why we're out there yelling at you. That's why we're out there saying the things we say. Because we're fishing for those children of Israel, just like how Christ told us to go into the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Read.
He was despised, and we esteemed him not.
He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Go ahead.
Verse 4. surely he hath borne our griefs.
Surely he hath borne our griefs, meaning he took on the responsibility of understanding the things that we went through. When you come into the UPK, one of the first things you'll start to really learn is that we put ourselves in the shoes of our own people. You understand? Like we sacrifice things, sacrifice comforts, sacrifice jobs and relationships. We sacrifice those things for the sake of making sure that we have each other, make sure that we have the wisdom that's needed. Sacrifice comfort and time. You understand? And that's an ongoing thing. It sometimes takes a lot of endurance to do so. But if you fall, you got your brothers there to pick you back up so you can brush that dust off of your knees and get right back to work. Because this world is always trying to knock you down. And that's what we're seeing right now. The world, this wicked world, this foolish world, trying to knock down Israel, trying to hammer down the truth before it could get brought out. Trying to pull out all the stops to make sure that we don't profess ourselves as a nation of people to be the real Israelites in the Bible. Because if we do that, it's game over. Then the reparation checks start coming. Then Christ starts returning. You understand? And all of the decrees and prophecies will continue to unfold before our very eyes, all because of a tweet, all because of a class, all because of a camp speaking. Because you picked up that battery and took it to the truck, that speaker worked that day so that somebody can hear the truth, so that they can change their life, so that Christ can return. You understand how there's a domino effect to everything? Just how important it is for each one of us to put in our brick in this truth. That we put in that money to get that camera, to take that picture, to put on the internet so that brothers will like it on social media, just to find another avenue of fishing more people in this school. Because it was the orders that we were given, and we execute them with perfection. So that one more soul may live. So that one more head may get crowned. There's nothing more important than that. We have to put that before our very selves. And for that, we experience what Christ experienced. That's what sacrifice is. That's what diligence and wisdom is. Go ahead. Give me verse 5 about Krishna. Oh, Slaka, go ahead. This is just my bad. Go ahead. Give me verse 4.
And carried our sorrow.
And carried our sorrows. Go ahead.
Yet we did esteem him stricken.
Go ahead.
Smitten of God.
That's what your family gonna say when you come into this truth. You going through all kinds of stuff. Man. Sure God's with you. You have a heart attack. Is old. You ready to come back to church? Nope. I've seen men pull through it. I've seen men endure it. You know what I mean? I myself have done it. The pain, the sacrifice. They esteemed him stricken, smitten of the Most High and afflicted. They think that God's not with us because we spend all our time doing this work to the point where we go broke. We don't have much, but we have this truth. While they're driving around because they, sell themselves out so that they can drive in a, a luxury vehicle and have a nice house and fit in with society and go eat the escargot and the caviar on the private jets, the first class flights every weekend. And they feel like God is with them for that. But they don't have the truth. Now, even the rich are starting to understand that without the truth, their money doesn't mean anything. And because they begin to profess themselves to be a Jew, now they're starting to lose that money that gave them their comfort. Does that mean God is against them, or does that mean God is testing them? I'm pretty sure we're all being tested. I'm pretty sure that we're all at war. Christ went to war for us. We must go to war for him. We must win for our brothers and sisters. There is no failure. Failure is not an option here. Prophecy says that it will occur. The question is, are you going to be a part of that victory, or are you going to be a part of the loss? You have to make your decision now, because time's running out. We pray that the Most High make the time short, that he remembers the covenant. The Most High is gathering them that are willing to sacrifice things for him so that we can earn that covenant back. Was that the end of verse 4? Give me verse 5.
Okay. Verse 5. But he was wounded for our transgression.
He was what?
Wounded for our transgression.
Now who we know we're talking about now? We know we're talking about Christ now. He was wounded for our transgressions. Now, how is Isaiah seeing this? Christ hadn't even walked the earth yet. But the scriptures is universal, practical knowledge. You understand? And when it's talking about Christ here in Isaiah, talking about it's talking about it like it happened already. This was thousands of years before Christ even walked on the earth. He was wounded for our transgressions. Go ahead.
He was bruised for our iniquities.
Yeah, he was bruised for our iniquities. He paid the price. He didn't do nothing wrong. He kept God's laws. He kept the Sabbath. He didn't eat pork. He didn't sleep with whores. He did everything right. And he got the punishment. He took that punishment with gladness, knowing the glory to come from that. What it would mean for our people and giving us a second chance. Read on.
The chastisement of our peace was upon him.
Go ahead.
And with his strips.
With his what?
Strips.
Stripes.
Like stripes.
What's a stripe? A whip. Yeah. With his stripes, with the beating that he got, with the you know what I'm talking about, being hanged on the tree, nailed to the tree, nailed to the wood. All the pain he went through, yeah, we are healed. We must take advantage of that opportunity. We'll never forget that. We'll never forget that. That's like, have you ever had a brother or a sibling that took the blame for you when you got in trouble? Who took the cookie out of the cookie jar? Your mom said not to eat the cookie before dinner. It's gonna spoil your dinner. She's getting ready to smack both of you, and then your older brother step in like, "Nah, it was me. No, he didn't do nothing. Even though you were the one that had 2 cookies, and he took them stripes for you." Christ did that. Except Christ didn't do nothing wrong. Christ didn't even have a cookie. You see what I'm talking about? You're the one that had the cookie. And he's the one that get whooped for it. But he's that much of a brother. You see what I'm saying? That he did not want to see you suffer anymore. That's a real brother right there, man. That's somebody that's worth mentioning. Somebody so powerful that they have to be mentioned before they even existed. That's why it's here in Isaiah. That's how powerful this book is. They want to try to take it like as if it belongs to them. No. This belongs to us. This is ours. They'll never get it back again. Because we're going to make sure that every last one of us knows this. You understand? That's what Christ would want us to do. Read on.
And with his stripes, we were healed.
And with his stripes, we are healed. Go ahead. Okay. You could just read verse 6.
Verse 6.
Mm-hmm.
All we like sheep have gone astray.
It's self-explanatory. Go ahead.
We have turned everyone to his own way.
Right. That's why brothers wanting to go out and go party and smoke weed, and you can't tell them a damn thing, even when they know that they're Israel. They'll be puffing that blunt, watching the video on YouTube. Man, they're saying some heavy stuff. That's right. That's right. Everyone went their own way, though. You going your way. You're doing your own thing. Everybody wants to be one deep now. Nobody wants to be unified anymore. Nobody wants to be strong together anymore because you're just so comfortable being isolated from everybody else. That's a demon. You got to fight that demon. You got to fight that demon because that's what gets you killed. You understand? That's what gets you cast down. Everyone had turned his own way. Go ahead.
And the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all.
Mm-hmm. Give me verse 9.
Verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
And he made his grave with the wicked.
He made his grave with the wicked. I mean, what's that saying? Because Christ was put on a cross next to 2 criminals, was he not? Go ahead.
And with the rich in his death.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Because he has done no violence.
Because he had what?
Done no violence.
And what else?
Neither was any deceit in his mouth.
Christ didn't hurt nobody. Christ didn't lie to anybody. Just like how I'm echoing this example because our people go through this to this day. Kyrie didn't do anything violent. Kyrie didn't say anything that was untrue. And he's getting punished for it. Well, know this, Kyrie. Neither did Christ. Christ didn't incite no violence. Christ told the Israelites to come back and take care of each other. But because it was exclusive to those lost 12 tribes of Israel, that's seen as offensive. Because it doesn't include the other nations. Doesn't make them feel all warm and cuddly inside. Because our message is for us and us only. They took it as violence. They took it as lies. That's why they're going to making a big deal about this book being tweeted. Now, oddly enough, that same book is now going for like 3,000. What is it, like 500 times the price to rent or to buy? So who's actually making more money off of it in the end? It's the same people that published it. Amazon, Jeff Bezos. You know what I'm talking about? Like the backlash was not replicated for the people that were actually putting it out there, but rather this black man that supposedly incited violence. Oh, he's the liar. He didn't even make the documentary. What do you think Christ did? Christ didn't make the law. He followed the law, established it. And they want to say that because he was actually keeping it, that he's a liar for keeping it? That don't make no damn sense. That because he wanted to tell Israel to stop doing stop following after the heathen to follow God's laws, that's inciting a riot and violence? No, they're not going to, that narrative is not going to work on us no more. When they see us in the street saying that we're a hate group, saying that we're a violent group, when we haven't done any crimes. There's never been a UPK officer that has done a drive-by and gotten arrested and gotten, sentenced to prison. That doesn't happen. There's never been a UPK soldier, trooper, officer, captain caught selling weed. That doesn't happen. We're not liars. We keep God's laws because that is our strength. That is that right there is what keeps us on God's side. And because we have to bring that to our people's attention in a strict and tough type of way, they see it as a threat. So they're the ones that are liars because they try to insinuate that we are being vile and deceitful and violent for saying these things. So when you come into the truth, understand that there is going to be affliction. There is going to be hatred because this very same thing that's happening to us, it happened to Christ also. It was prophesied to happen to him. And he went through it and he did it. And he did it perfectly. Was there any more on that? Read on. Let's read that last part again. Because he had done no violence. Slack it.
Because he had done no violence,
Mhm.
neither was any deceit in his mouth.
Neither was any deceit in his mouth. When Kyrie Irving said that the Jews are black, or sorry, when he said he knew where he come from, he wasn't lying. The Bible says that the Jews are dark skinned. Why can't we operate with that logic of seeing what it says and believing what it says, rather than just what they assume is true? Like I said, two different worlds. I wouldn't want anything to do with this world if it means that we get punished for actually reading a book and believing what it says and understanding that it's ours. And they don't allow us to have our own book unless it's Catholicism, unless it's baptism. No, those days are done. Those days are over. I'm not falling for that no more. The only ones that are the ones that are comfortable here. But we have been pushed away from that comfort for too long. We've been shown time and again that this system was set up to keep us from this. They give us the book, or at least they show the book to us, and then they never open it. They never read it. And they get mad when we read it because they assume that we don't know how to read it. They think that we're wrong for reading it. They think that, if it's not being taught by a white man or by some other nation, that we couldn't possibly understand it correctly. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Yeah. Verse 10. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him.
Read that again.
Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand.
It's like, read that from the top again.
Isaiah chapter 53, verse 10. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him.
Damn. This son that didn't make any mistake. Why would God be pleased to do this? Think a little bit more future tense.
Because children are going to start coming back.
Why else?
Because he did a great honor. Or
Because he made up for his mistake. Did not Adam make the mistake in the beginning?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because he's Adam way back in the past. He's the same spirit.
Hold that. Give me First Corinthians 15 and 45. Why would it please the Most High to bruise him?
Because he corrects himself.
Because
his first mistake that he made.
The cycle was complete, right? The correction. That's like when you disobey your father, and then you make up for it by following what he said to do in the first place. Give me that verse. Read that real quick. 45.
15 and 45? Oh,
First Corinthians 15 and 45.
Oh.
That's why I like these scriptures, man, because you know how earlier when we said there's levels to this?
Uh-huh.
Milk scriptures are everything. because it's all milk. You know what I mean? It's just really just when the time comes for it to be implemented, because something's going on in the news, it becomes essential, right? So we got to understand these things. Go ahead, give me what you got.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians,
15 and
chapter
45.
15, verse 45.
Mhm. Go ahead.
And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul.
The first man, Adam, was made a living soul. Talking about Genesis, right? Go ahead.
The last Adam was made a quickening spirit.
What was Christ? Read that again.
The last Adam was made a quickening spirit.
An awakening spirit. What does quickening mean? Quickening means to revive, make alive again. That's the kind of spirit that was in Christ, because he was perfect enough to be a sacrifice to cause a wave of quickening for everybody else in the nation of Israel. It started with 12 men, 12 disciples. You understand? And then those brothers, they went and carried on, spread the truth. And the truth, of course, continued until even now, to this day. That quickening spirit that was in Christ is now in us. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
So please not go back to where we were.
Which was
Isaiah 53 and 10. Isaiah 53 and 10. Let me get that.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 53, verse 10.
Go ahead.
Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him.
It pleased the Lord to bruise him. Why? Now we looked at the past. Now let's look at the future. The result of this. Because
Because he corrected himself.
He corrected himself so that we can correct ourselves, so that we can begin setting up God's kingdom. So of course it would please the Most High. But though in the moment it looks harsh and suffering and terribleness, right? The stripes, you know what I'm saying, the imagery of it. Don't think of that white Jesus. Think is a black man that everybody looked past. Nobody thought he looked impressive. He may not have been the tallest or the strongest, but this was a brother that God was working with, that God quickened, and he, you know what I'm saying, paid his dues. So Most High is pleased with this. Go ahead.
He hath put him to grief.
Mm-hmm.
When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin.
What was Christ's soul?
An offering for sin.
Exactly, because that same Adam that made that mistake in the beginning also had to be that offering to correct that mistake, so that every person to follow could then, you know, get their status back, so that we can serve our original purpose before we made any mistakes. You know what I mean? Like we have to complete our cycle, and Christ's offering is what pleased the Most High to usher us into this now age of awakening and quickening. That's what quickening is. It's like when you come to class and you start getting so excited about hearing the scriptures that now you look at the Bible. When you were in the Christian church, you see these words and you fell asleep. You used to fall asleep on your mama's lap when you was 5 years old, and you know what I mean? You just couldn't wait for it to be over because y'all usually go get lunch afterwards and then watch the football game or something. But now you read the Bible and it's like, dang, there's more. I gotta get more of this because there's so much here, it's so dense. There's so much knowledge here that can benefit me because it's for me. It was made by us. And when you start to understand that that's your heritage and that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are one people, that's exciting. That's like you ever go to school in the classroom and you look around the class and of course you're in the hood, so and number of black and Hispanics, and you look and you checking out the girls in your class, you're like, okay, you know what? I think I like this class. I think I'll put up with school. Now you start to realize just who your people is. And this book becomes that much more enticing because of the potential of what you can be and what you can become. And you start to fine tune your craft in being a student and being a righteous priest. You know what I'm saying? Like there's levels to it. And these celebrities should bask in the opportunity to then publicly take their first steps into the school. Big up to Styles P, famous hip hop artist. They recognize the UPK, but they need to come back to the fold. You know what I'm saying? They need to be in here. They got to make, like Israel, we set the trends. You know what I'm saying? You see us making hip hop music now, things like that. What's going to happen when all the mumble rappers get shot? Slovakia. There's only going to be UPK left. It's going to come to the point where our entourage is going to be so powerful that it will be the norm. It will be what brothers and sisters are bumping in their cars on the way to the gatherings with their families. Like, you got to have vision to see these things because these things are going to be the reality when Christ's kingdom is on his earth. And we usher that in because we set the trends. Now all eyes are on us because attention is being brought to those that pay attention to us. They're at some point going to have no choice but to direct questions to Commanding General, to General Mahaiman, to the captains, Captain Yatazak. Just like when we went to Acuna, Mexico, and you had news reporters clamoring, trying to find out what was going on. They're talking to Officer Yashikar. I don't know if he was an officer at the time, but Captain Yatazak, the forefront, the soldiers on the front lines for Christ. All because Christ was bruised by the Most High. It pleased the Most High because the Most High knew these things were going to begin to happen. So that when these moments take place and the angels start to rejoice because we continue to wake up, there's a smile on the Most High's face. There's a smile on our faces when we're not, in the camera being serious. You know what I'm saying? Because now we understand that we're on the path, on the right path. And the world's going to try to come against us. They're going to try to afflict us. None of that's going to affect us because we continue to show strength on this earth. You understand? Was there more on that? Dang, that's... Oh, read. Was that the end of verse 10? Go ahead and... give me the rest of verse 10, Bob. Sure.
He shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand.
Okay, yeah. Drop that. Give me Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 19. Jeremiah 8 and 19. Go ahead.
Okay.
This will be the last scripture.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 8, verse 19.
You're good. Go ahead.
Behold the voice of the cry of the daughter of my people, because of them that dwell in a far country.
Because of them that dwell in a far country. I mean, is that not where we are right now? Dwelling in a far country, crying out, wanting the Most High to save us from the conditions we're in. Crying out and getting criticized for trying to bring to attention the conditions that we're in. But a brother in the UPK, a priest, will understand that we are in hell, that we have been deceived by Satan in his kingdom. to be okay with our hellish condition. But little by little, voices are starting to cry out from the ground, cry out on the airwaves, posting tweets on social media, in the interviews, dropping hints that they have been listening to the priests and prophets that the Most High put on this earth to teach this truth. But they try to avoid us because they want to go after these unlearned brothers and sisters. They will have no choice but to confront us, and every time that they have, because they have already, they learn our perspective and just how righteous we really are. And that's the standard that we uphold in this school. And we do that for y'all. We do that so that y'all could be strong. Because in seeing that, it keeps us strong as well. It keeps us moving forward. But read on. There's more to that.
Is not the Lord in Zion?
Is not the Lord in Zion? Go ahead.
Is not her king in her?
Yeah, because Christ is within our kingdom. Christ is the one that gave his sacrifice for us. Go ahead.
Why have they provoked me to anger with their graven images?
With their what?
With their graven images.
And read on.
And with strange vanities.
That's the culture that we take on being a part of Babylon. You know what I'm saying? Their images, these strange vanities, things that are not our heritage. Read. Give me verse 20.
Okay. Verse 20. The harvest is past. The summer is ended.
Go ahead.
And we are not saved.
Read that again.
Okay. The harvest is past.
Meaning a long time has occurred. Go ahead.
The summer is ended.
The season is ended. Go ahead.
And we are not saved.
How long is it going to take for us to reach our salvation? How long are we going to have to wait for us to actually break away from this condition? Give me verse 21.
Verse 21. For the hurt of the daughter of my...
You good. Telling you, there's something in the air is allergies, bro.
For the hurt of the daughter of my people and my hurt.
When I see my people struggle, I'm going to say something about it. I'm going to cry out about it. When I see that our people need salvation, I'm going to make sure to be at camp, to be on the street, to say what needs to be said. Because I care about my people. What I don't care about is what they're going to think about us for actually saying what needs to be said. No longer am I going to let the other nations' influences and ideologies and opinions of what they think is true, of the history that they want to uphold. None of that matters anymore, because now that we have the truth, that's going to take over. Nothing's going to stop that. So it's really just a matter of time. But in this time, it begins by recognizing the struggle that we're in. It begins by seeing the black man struggle and the Hispanic man struggle. Consider them as family. Consider us as one. If a document or a book or a movie, if there's something to be learned from it, something to be brought out from it that has a heavy point, say it. We do it all the time. We see a movie. We go watch the movie Transformers and talk about how in Transformers 3 they're getting ready to bring the whole kingdom on the earth. And they're like, dang, that sounds like the kingdom of heaven right there. Maybe the Decepticons ain't so bad after all, But that's just sci-fi. What about something real? What about this book, Hebrews to Negroes? What about Captain Katazar's book, We Came from the East? You know what I'm saying? What else is out there that we can learn from that'll incite us to want to study more and be more? Because we see so much struggle that we've been dealing with. Read on. Mm-hmm.
I am black.
I am what?
I am black.
He said, I am black. You know what I'm talking about? Read on.
Astonishment hath taken hold on me.
Astonishment had taken hold on me, meaning we now are starting to realize that what the enemy has done is taken our skin tone, taken our heritage, and turned it into a beacon of hopelessness, of darkness. And thus we've embraced that darkness. We've embraced that sad pain. That's why we make hip hop music of lamentation. That's why we made blues and things that reflect the struggle that we go through, and it makes them richer. That's what's so sickening about it, is that these false Jews take our struggle and become rich off of our experience. We recognize that we're not putting up with that anymore, because now we're going to be the children of Israel as we're supposed to have been from the beginning. To hell with what they got going on. We're just going to continue to teach and be exactly who we're supposed to be. And with that, we are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York in 1969. Under Commanding General Yohana, we're here to teach the truth of the Bible for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, their real heritage, that they are the real Jews that the Bible speaks of. So with that, I'm going to pass the class over to Officer Kapayar for the, what's up? Oh, that's the wrong one? Let me get that. I thought it was upside down. I didn't even know what it was. There it is. There you go. To Officer Kapayar for the security announcements.
This is the ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to shed themselves of the world. Mm-hmm. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. Mm-hmm. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithe, which is a commandment. You find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Maishra means tenth in Hebrew, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. Got the Feast of the Dedication, the Hanukkah, 25th day of the 9th month by the space of 8 days. Starts Saturday, 17th December 2022 for 8 days. And you can find this in the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 4, verse 52 through 61. And if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, start wearing all black: boots, shirts, pants, headband, scarf. And this concludes the ISUPK security announcements.
All right, Omadio. Mupanya Hakudam, which means turn, and we're going to face the east, and we're going to finish with the Lord's Prayer. Go ahead.
This is the Lord's Prayer in the Hebrew. Abinao, Shabbat Shemayim, Kodash, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakuka, Taba'ah, Ratazayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'aratiza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayim, Nathanaw, Lakam, Kal, Yawam, Wasalakna, Kabawatna, Kasalakna, Kabawathina, Walala, Tabi'ayna, Wanasai 1, Abal, Hawashayna, Mayan, Rai, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Wahala, Watapara, I will love you. Amen. All right, what we said was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Yahweh. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it. Sorry. All right.
We're going to turn and face the brothers for one courtesy salute. Individual. Amadu Shabbat. Amadu. Barak. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatham. And Matah. All right. We're going to give the sisters one courtesy salute. Individual. Amadu Shabbat. Amadu. Barak. Yahweh Shem Yahshua Shem Yahshua. Yadi Matah. Class dismissed.